Hi there. Welcome to My Other's Keeper. I am so excited today. We are talking to my friend Buedo So, and he is a Karen man from Burma. And he has been in, I remember his first Sunday in Canada. Let's just put it that way. He and his mom were at the home church that I was invited to worship with them at just their first Sunday. And he took out his guitar and he sang beautifully. Oh, I hope he still sings. Anyway, so yes, I am very excited to talk with Boy today. Actually, Boy, what are you normally called? What's your
Well,
normal name?
my full name is Buedoso, but when I moved to
Yes.
Canada because we don't have a first and a last name, so I goes by Boy is actually my
Hmm.
last name, and Doso is my first name. So I think still nowadays I'm still confused when when people ask me what do you go by, and but because I go by Boy, so I would say I will go my you can call me Boy, yeah.
I can call you Boy. Okay, because yes, and that's very normal in Asian cultures. The last
Mhm.
name comes first, right?
Correct.
So it's backward to us.
Yeah.
It's backward to us. So, okay. Um, Tell me a little bit about the Karen people. Now, it's spelled Karen, but it's
Yes.
Karen,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell
Yeah.
me a bit about the Karen people.
So the Karen people are the indigenous people to the southern Eastern Asian country of Burma or Myanmar, formerly known as
Mhm.
Burma, and we have been victims of ethnic cleansing for more than 50 years. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's big. How many Karen people might be in Burma still?
I'm not sure the exact number, but I think it was still a lot of Karen people still struggle and still living in the border and in Burma in a refugee camp as well. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. So more people will still be there than have left. Does that sound right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay, okay. So basically, we really need to pray for your brothers and sisters.
for sure, yeah.
That's important. Okay. So where exactly were you born?
I was born on the border between Thailand and Burma, and then
Mhm.
on the side of Thai, I was still called in a refugee on the side of Thai border. Yeah,
Mm.
it's between the river called the Selwyn River. That's when I was born. Yeah, on the border side,
Okay. On the
along
border. So
along the
you
Thai
might be
border. Yeah,
Thai, you might be Karen, you
yeah,
might be Burmese. I
yes.
don't know. And you will hear us call it Burma, not Myanmar, because
Mhm,
Myanmar is the um, political military name for the country. The people are from Burma,
mhm,
and that's what I have learned from people is that that's what it is. So
mhm.
I hope you don't mind if I call it Burma.
Oh, no
Uh,
problem. Yeah.
so how many siblings do you have?
I have one brother and two sisters.
Okay, okay. So you're one brother and two sisters. And are you the oldest, youngest, middleest? What are you?
I'm the youngest baby in
You're
the
the young
family.
you're the baby. Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay, and are they all in Canada?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So there's yourself, three siblings, and your mom. And they all
Yes.
came to Canada. What year was that? Do you remember?
I believe it was 2008. Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense to me.
I think it
Okay.
was 2008. Yeah. If I
Yeah.
recall that correctly. Yeah.
Well, it would have been very close to that time. If it wasn't, it might have been 2009, but it very, very close to there.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, so what are some of your earliest memories? Like
Um,
in Burma, refugee camp, Canada, wherever?
Yeah, I think my earliest memories was when at the time when I remember it was along the border when the soldiers came into our village and started to burn down our houses, and
Mm,
my mother told me all I can hear was people were running around and crying and running, and my mother grabbed my hand and told me to run, and
mhm,
we were told like because I was very young, I was just a child, so we were told that we're not allowed to like make any noises, and we have to hide in the jungles.
mhm,
And later on I found out one of our close friends were like were passed away, and people were scattered all over in the jungle or
Hmm.
forest. So that's probably one of the earlier memories that I can remember. Yeah, before coming to actually enter the refugee camps Thailand in Thailand. Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of your earliest memories. How old might you have been?
I don't remember, to be honest. I'll remember that all I remember
Just that
was
you
like,
were really little.
yeah, little and running around. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you don't remember any do you have any happy memories from those days, or was it all
Um,
kind of scary?
it was scary, but I remember like I had a friends, friends that we were, because we would live on the border between beside like along the riverside. So I remember
Right?
like swimming in the river and like getting bath, all those fun
Yeah,
stuffs normally would
yeah.
do by the river without a life jacket, like in a big river. So yeah,
Okay. Okay, well, at least you had life jackets and you weren't
yeah,
gonna, like, float away.
yeah.
So, okay, well, that's good.
Mhm, mhm,
Alright. And, I seem to remember a story a long time ago you told about, your brother fishing in the fishing boat and the
mhm.
soldiers on the shore. What could you tell us that story?
Yeah, so that because we were in the river and we had a small fishing boat, and then because the Selwyn River is one side is guarded by the Thai soldier, and the other
Mhm,
side is guarded by the Burmese soldiers. So
mhm.
every time when the Burmese soldiers see the boat, and they will like shoot the boat, and then and yeah, and we just all we have to be be cautious when we were in the river with our small canoe. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so did both sides think you were from the other side and they just wanted to get rid of you, or did
The
everybody kinda know that you were from Burma?
well, in the Thai side that they know that we're for Burma, right? And then the other side, it's a Burmese soldier, so they would greatly wanted to get rid of us. So the Thai side we won't worry much about it, but
Right,
most like the Burmese side, yeah, because we try to cross the border, right? Yeah,
right,
that's when we cross the border and then cross the Thai border, so that we're not allowed to go back to Burma once we cross the border. Yeah,
right.
in the like rain.
That
Yeah. Mhm, mhm.
yeah, okay, so you would have gone across the border to the refugee camp
Yeah.
and then not
Mm.
allowed to go back. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
And we will, because
okay.
it was the other side is guarded by the Burmese soldier. There was no way that we can go back because yeah.
No. Oh, wow. See,
Mhm,
that's something that people don't realize, the difference between, say, a refugee and an immigrant.
mhm,
You were a refugee,
mhm.
and what to you makes the difference between a refugee and an immigrant?
I think of when I think about myself, that's all the lies we knew in the refugee camps before coming to Canada. So we're
Mhm,
not allowed to speak out. We're not even considered as a human being, and we're now citizen to any other country. And basically, once we cross the border and we're in the refugee camps, that we're not allowed to become a Thai citizens, or and you're not allowed to work outside of the camp. So
mm,
it just they basically we just like 1,000 of us put together along the border, and without any legal paper and documentations. So
yeah,
yeah, I think and then we basically we're not citizen to any country at all.
right.
Yeah, and when we're in a refugee camp versus immigrate what was it again, and being immigrants here in Canada, or coming if you come as an immigrant, that's a different story. Or yeah,
Yeah. If you
mhm,
come as an immigrant to Canada, you can go home to your old country
mhm.
and you'll be okay.
Yes.
If you go as a refugee, you can't go home to your old country, or
Mhm.
you will be killed or
Yeah.
arrested, or
Mhm.
there will be some serious consequence.
Mhm.
So that's from what I've heard over the years. That's what I've
Mhm.
really heard is the definition, for lack of a better phrase, of
Mhm.
the difference between immigrant and refugee.
Mhm.
So yeah, okay. So how many camps did you live in?
Well, our camps is called Melau camps. I think that we have about seven camps along the Thai border. Depend on which side of Burma you're crossing. So our camp is called Melau camp. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And so did you only live in the one camp, or did you move
Well,
around?
multiple camps. So once like I moved to, I believe, three different. I think we moved to two different camps. So yeah, because the camp was so close to the first camp when we entered, it was so close to the border, so it was not safe, and it was not safe for our the camp. So the Thai authority relocated us to a different camps. Yeah, it's further
So
than
further from the
from the border.
border.
Yeah. Hmm.
So the Thai actually did take a little bit of a good care of you in that they moved you further away, right? Like they
Yeah.
didn't want you
Hmm.
to be killed on their land. They didn't want you
Yeah.
to live there, but
Yeah.
they
For
also
sure.
didn't want you to die there.
Yeah,
So,
I think we were under UNHCR, I believe, and then
yes.
care, and then we're just meant to be a temporary stay there in Thai, and hoping that maybe things will get better and we will go back to
Oh,
to
yeah,
Burma, right? A lot of my
exactly.
family members are also my mom will think the things, they all also thinking the same things, right? Hoping that they will get better and we will
For
actually
sure.
need to stay there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Mhm,
talked about the UNHCR.
mhm,
That's the United Nations High Council for Refugees.
mhm.
What what do they do in the process of moving you as a refugee?
You know what? When I was in refugee camp, like I didn't know what we were under UNHCR care. But when I moved to Canada
Ah,
after so
then
many
you
years,
knew.
I was like, oh, I never heard of a UNHCR. But when I actually did research about it, UNHCR is a human rights protections group that take care of the refugees, families, or people under protected refugees members. So that's what I learned. 'Cause I didn't know when I was in camp. So yeah,
No. Well, yeah,
yeah,
you don't know, like,
yeah.
it's like when you're in Saskatoon, do you really know who all of the different, political issue people are? And, you know who the mayor is, but do you know all
Mhm.
the councilors? Do you know all of the other people?
No.
No, it doesn't matter, it's just life, right?
Mhm.
So, okay. Um, so tell me about your early education. Did you get to go to school?
Yeah, I did. I went to school in refugee camps in Thailand,
Okay.
and a little camp. There was a the school system was very different. We didn't get well, they taught us in Quran and like a
Mhm.
thousand. Like I have about 100 people in my classroom. They were my classmates. You know, there was a lot of
Wow.
people there, and it was they taught us like basic alphabet, like English alphabet and Qurans, and that's what we learned. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So when you say 100 people, would they all have been the same age or people of lots of different ages?
Usually the same age. Yeah, the same age. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's like one
So
big classroom. Yeah.
so how many people were in your refugee camp?
It was I don't know, like it was a lot of people. But when I say by a lot, it's like we have, for me, it was a lot because we like lots of people. So I don't know exact number, but I don't want to give a wrong number because I know there was a lot of people there.
I don't think it would matter if you gave a wrong number. I don't think anybody's gonna say, "Well, there was an extra 30 people in that classroom." So,
I will say
no.
a thousand people like in one refugee camps. Yeah. Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
okay, so
mhm.
what were the living conditions like in the camp?
So our house is made of bamboo,
Okay,
and we live on the hills. We I think called hills, a mountain like on the hillsides. Yeah, and
yes.
um, and then we'll get like heavy rainy seasons, like months, and there's sometimes like our houses was not in a good condition. Sometimes the bamboo like houses were clapped. Sometimes, so it was yeah, it's a living condition. It's like when like it was very crowded, I would say. Yeah, it was
Oh,
crowded
for sure.
environment. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. So when you're building the house, I was in Thailand in
Mm,
2006. I was there for 3 weeks, and we
mm,
got to see, a canoe village,
mhm,
and the houses were all on stilts because
mhm.
of the rainy season, right? So
Yeah,
you wouldn't just all wash away.
yeah.
But the walls weren't solid like here in
Mhm,
Canada. There was like almost like pallets, like wood pallets,
mhm,
where there's kind of holes, sort of like where my fingers are. There's like holes and lines in between the wood.
mhm.
And is that what it was like essentially?
I think it was it's hard to describe, like,
Okay.
everything was made of bamboo, so it's really if I have a picture, I'll show it's just for me, it's very hard to describe that how it was made of bamboo, and, it was very, like, to like, I can't find the word how to describe it.
That's okay. I'm asking a question I didn't ask earlier, so okay.
Yeah.
Didn't let you prepare for that one. So how did you hear about Canada?
So, well, you know what? I heard, um, like what I heard, it was on the big announcements. Like when we were in a refugee camp, they have a speaker like set up on a tree, like in a different area. So you will hear. That's how the camp leader will communicate with us. They say,
Mm,
and one day I heard it was on the big announcement, say like whoever who want to go to Canada, whoever want to go to Canada, go to the camp leader and give your name there. You know, and my
okay.
mom probably knew, but I didn't know. I was like, okay, well, Canada, it's just another camp or it's just another place or another one big, I don't know. It's like it's so good that I have to, and then my
Yes.
mother probably knew again, right? So yeah, it was on like it was on the speaker, like on the speaker, when we were in the refugee camps. Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you first heard about Canada.
Yeah.
I didn't ask, how old were you when you went to the refugee camp? Like, how long did you live there?
I lived there almost like in my entire life there, like of my childhood life there. I probably spent the whole, um, I don't know, like maybe more than like 10 years for sure. Yeah, yeah, or
Okay,
like maybe eight. Or like yes, like yeah,
so you were very little, like, before school would have started,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
and then you moved, and then school
yeah.
age.
hmm
Okay, okay. And, so did you have any you said you didn't know if Canada was another camp or
hmm
if it was a country or a city or, like, is this a new city in Thailand or, like, what is Canada? Did you have any kind of frame of reference as to maybe what it might be?
Well, well, when before so that the first time when I heard it over the big announcement, I thought it was just another place. But when we actually signed up for to become like when my mother told me we have to come to Canada, then they
Mhm.
did give us some training about, give us a little bit about what is Canada is all about. But I was not paying attention at all. I didn't know. I was just too excited to go to get on a big truck on the back of the vehicle. I was just I get to go on a car. This is my first, probably my second time on a vehicle, right? So like after being there in a
Wow.
refugee camp for a long time, it's just like, oh, I'm just so excited for some reason,
Well, yeah,
not so much in Canada, but so much into get into a vehicle, to a bus, or to a big truck. Or,
absolutely.
yeah, when they take you seat on the back of the truck, and then you have to like
Yep.
when they transfer the family to go to camps, but yeah, things like that. So yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
how many people would be in that truck?
I think we have about three or four families in the back
Okay.
of the truck, and then yeah, and by the time we get to the Thai city, we have to shower and clean up because we were all covered with dust,
Oh,
all.
yeah.
So yeah, it was like three or four family put in a one big truck, yeah, in order to go
Oh,
to Thai
okay.
city, yeah, to get to a Thai city, yeah.
Okay, so what city did you go to?
I when we went to Mesriang, so it's about like 3 or 4 hours from a refugee camp. So we had to go through the valley and all those jungles in order to go to Thai city. Yeah, but
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah, that's yeah, the roads are not good.
no,
You
yeah,
think Saskatchewan roads are bad. You think our roads are bad here? Try
yeah,
going to Thailand in the country.
for
So, yeah,
sure.
that's a whole 'nother experience. And, so traveling, tell me about the traveling to get here. What did you well, actually, you said that you had some training to
Mhm.
come to Canada. What kind of training did they give you?
So it's like a basic training that how to use a washroom, because like the flush in the toilet, those are like we never had experience. All right, I like how to take a bus and where do you get your tickets and things like that, and it was training, like just a 1 day training. And by the
Oh,
time when I was in the truck, I seem to forget pretty much all of them, right? But and the thing is,
absolutely.
we were the like because we like it was the first time getting on a bus, so I think most of my whole family were car sick. We got emotion sick, so we didn't know, like, yeah, we
Oh,
were very sick, and I didn't remember much, but I was
right.
excited from like refugee camp to Thai city. But when we get to Thai city, we had to get on the bus. So that time when we were all got like car sick and didn't remember. I
Yeah.
To be honest, I were like we were very very sick in the vehicle, and we
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
want much. Um, like the view or the scenery of Thailand, the city at all. And then we were in a nice place, but we're just sick, because we never had
Absolutely.
like we were never experienced like being on a bus. Yeah.
Yeah, well, with the ups and downs and going
Yeah.
so fast. I mean, it's
Exactly.
faster than you can run, and that's probably as fast or on a bicycle, right? Had you
Yeah.
used a bicycle before so you knew how fast that
Oh
might
no,
be?
no, yeah, no, yeah. Oh
Okay,
no,
so
usually,
the
yeah.
bus was really fast then. That
Yeah,
would that would be very strange.
yeah,
Yes, it's like for somebody the first time flying, right? For somebody who
yeah,
has been in a vehicle, if you've never been in an airplane before,
yeah,
it's fast.
yeah. Because
So
I think,
then you
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
that's okay. What were you going to say?
Oh, I would say when we were in Bangkok, and I thought we were in Canada or like in a big
Mm,
city, right? So we had to take a planes, but all of us thought we were in just in Canada, or we were already in Canada. So all of us were just like in the morning there was a group of people who look up to us, say that we have to go. And I thought we have to go for breakfast or something like that. We actually had to leave. We had to get on the plane, and
oh,
everybody's
wow.
there with all their luggage and things like that. So it was quite
Yeah.
interesting, yeah. When we were in an
Oh,
hotel.
for sure, and the Bangkok airport is huge. Oh, wow, yeah, I'm not sure people here on this side of the ocean understand quite how big airports are in
Mm,
Asia. They're
mhm,
because the population is so ginormous.
mhm,
It's they're insanely huge.
mm.
So, okay, all right. Um, so once you got to Canada, what was your first impression? What did you think when you first got here? Or first of all, were you not sick anymore?
We were
Or
still sick in British, like, well, like by the time when we get there, I think we were like, it took us for a long time to get back to ourselves, and we were
mhm,
well still sick from Thailand to Canada, because and yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
and I
motion
think,
sick.
yeah, motion sick, yeah, the time, yeah, motion
Yeah.
sick,
Oh,
yeah.
that's rough.
Hmm.
Yeah. I spent a lot of my life being motion sick. When I was a child, I lived in British Columbia, and so
Hmm.
there was lots of roads through the mountains and such, and my little tummy just couldn't handle it. Um, and the first couple of times I was on an airplane, I also got very sick. So
Mm.
I can understand the whole idea of I've never been on a bus, I've never been on an airplane, and now my stomach is not happy with me at all. Um, so once you got to Canada, what was your first impression?
Um, I think I was so happy because to be honest, like when I got into Canada, I see a lot of like mostly I see a lot of buildings and houses, and then I can see like snow, first time see snow on the plane, like when we were in the plane, look by looking at the maybe Rocky Mountains, I don't know with
Yeah,
that time.
yeah.
So yeah, so it was like wow, it was different, and I thought Canada is just only one place. That I didn't realize that Canada also divided into city and provinces, right? So it was a
Yeah.
huge shock for me, and when were landing in like British Columbia
Mhm.
when we took a picture, it was saw so many people from a different colors and different, very diverse. So it was shocking. Yeah, it was
I can
shocking for me.
imagine. Yes, because people in Burma and people in Thailand look
Mhm.
very similar. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
not exactly the same, but
Mhm.
so similar.
Mhm.
So to see white people, brown people, black people,
Yes.
lots of different clothing and all
Mhm.
of that must have been confusing.
Mhm. Yeah.
That would have been amazing. Were you afraid or was it more exciting still?
I was not sure. Like at that time, I think I was a little bit young, and I was kind of like, oh, I was so happy and excited at the same time, and I was so proud, like for being Korean. I only want to wear my Korean shirt everywhere I go. When I first came to Canada, so yeah, that's probably one of the yeah, that I can call my memory. Yeah, yeah. But I didn't speak English, but I was very talkative. I was like I always would like to learn things. So I was not afraid to speak to other people, with yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
you're a very smart young man. I mean, you picked up English very quickly. I'm really very impressed with how well you did. How old were you when you came to Canada?
I think I was about 16 or 17. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were young, but not little. like you
Yes,
weren't a little
correct.
boy,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's old enough to really see big differences
Yeah.
and to see um, that life will not ever be the same again,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
How did
mhm.
you feel about life never being the same again?
I think um I'm not sure. Like I think for us it's I think we were like thinking about my life being in refugee camps. I have to like always hiding from soldiers and things like that, and always live our life under pressure. And I think
Hmm.
we were just for me it was just grateful to be alive, and also we're very grateful to be in Canada, and
Yeah.
there's something that I think for like I would say like for me personally, I was like I was just so grateful to be in Canada, and for like learning culture to be adopted, like adopt the new culture and things like it's not really um how do I say it? It's something that I can do, something personally, something I can do that I would not worry about like people will like still like hunt me down or still worry about my life,
Right.
for try to
Right.
be someone else or try to adopt this culture. I don't have to be worried about what people not to tell me what to do. There's something I would have more freedom, and so not being afraid of who I am, like and in a safe place here, so I can do. For me, that time I was like, I can do pretty much everything without being afraid. Yeah.
Isn't that a good feeling? I mean, there's the newness,
Hmm.
but the feeling of safety, that's
Hmm.
a whole nother thing that like 90% of us would never have to think about, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So, what was your biggest surprise when you came to Canada?
I think my biggest I think like my biggest surprise is I think when I first landed here, there was a organization that does help with us for like settle down in Canada, like as a newcomer. So there was actually people who also
Mhm.
look after us and how to listen, and then and also they also give us some like we always use the Canada government give us allowance, to settle down in Canada to help us, um and my probably my biggest surprise is people were very helpful. Like as a teacher and everybody who I met, they would try to help, and they were just so friendly and they were so nice. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Okay, well, that's a good surprise to have, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what was your greatest pleasure? Like, what did you like the most? There's surprise, but what did you like?
I think again, what I like the most, it's being able to tell my story and tell who I really
Mm,
am. Like I say, I can be. I now I'm like proudly say I am Karen. I'm from Burma. I was in a refugee camp. I'm so proud to share my story, and I'm so proud to tell people who I am. And that I think when I was in refugee camps, I was not able to do so, and I feel like I was not able to express myself. And
right?
also we're not able to tell who I really am. So
Mm,
it's
exactly.
yeah, it's in Canada now. Like, I was just so happy that I was able to show this culture and be able to speak Korean with my own family members, and practice our
Yeah.
culture. Yeah, yeah. Mhm,
So in Canada, um, we really celebrate different cultures. Like
mhm,
you'll see this scarf behind me.
yeah,
I People like to say, "Oh, I'm colorblind. I don't see color." I love seeing color. I
mhm,
love seeing different cultures. I love seeing the beauty that we all make together, right?
mhm,
So in that way, I think it's just I think it's a beautiful thing that we were able to have you come to Canada.
mhm.
Um, what was your biggest disappointment coming to Canada?
Um, Well, I think it's not so much to bigger disappointments, but I more like how to navigate the system. It's probably one of the
Mm.
most challenging one. Yeah, I think
Okay,
like
yeah,
yeah. So it's like having an idea of like again first name, last name, culture differences, and then where to get resources, what to do, and explain my in Canada, people are like expect you to know your basic information, like your first name, your last name, your date of birth, and like all my family members, we were born in November 12th, so which is all our ID say November because my mother didn't know where we were born and dates. So and we don't have a first name, last name. Again, when people ask, like like when we go to agency or when we, especially the government deal, the government ID and things like, they only want to see this kind of proof. And are you relative or that time it was a challenge because to be able to
For sure.
tell a basic, let's share my basic uh, information, like without going, like I have to like go beyond an extra to explain who I really really am, to prove that
Yes.
this really me. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm,
Well, that's something people don't understand. They're like, "Oh, I don't like all of these people coming into my country with no identification."
mhm,
Well, when you're a refugee, you don't have
mhm.
identification.
Yeah.
You don't have a birth certificate, you don't have a work visa, you don't have any of these things
Mhm,
because they simply don't exist,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so just for everybody to realize, I was the teacher of Bue's mom and his brother. So I knew Bue. Um, Bue is his last name, actually. Most Asian countries, Bue Doso would be his last name and then his first name. But I also had some students with only one name.
Mhm,
So I had a student named Marina. Well, she was Marina because she had to have two names and
mhm,
she only had one. So they just made it twice. Um, and that kind of thing. So it's a whole different way of thinking about things. It's a whole different worldview, right? It's like being a fish and looking through water all of the time, and then suddenly you're looking above the water, and it's why they call it a fish out of water story, right? So, yeah. So, what are the biggest lessons that you've learned living in Canada so far?
I think the bigger lessons that I learned, to be honest, when I first came here, I thought I was the only refugees here in
Mm,
Canada. But when I was
mm-hmm,
living here in Canada from when I first started school, and I also saw many people from a different country that came from a different background,
mm-hmm,
and they were also refugees. And some were
mm-hmm.
refugees, some were immigrant. That's something that I was like, wow, I thought I was the only refugees when I came to Canada, but I didn't realize that we also have other refugee members also who also moved here. I think that's something that I've learned when I first moved to Canada, that I was not the only one, and that I also have a friends and family have a similar story like me. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so you will have had going to school because you
Mhm.
were 16, 17 years old, you would have
Yeah.
had to go to public school.
Yes.
So, in order to go to public school, you have to have papers, you have to have names, you have to have
Mhm.
all sorts of things. And
Mhm.
then once you get there, what happens at public school for you as somebody who has zero English, and that, well, I shouldn't say zero. You learned the alphabet at the
Yes.
refugee camp,
Mhm.
right? So you
I learned,
knew
but yeah, I knew a little bit of alphabet, I didn't,
a
yeah,
bit.
just the tiny, and I knew what the um, and then, it seems that we were all in the same, when we were in the that time was called ESL class, so we were in the
Yes, yep.
ESL class. So, so somehow we seem to understand each other, even though we don't, we're in the same labor, but we seem to understand each other at first, so, our classmate, to communicate with other, so yeah.
That was something that I found absolutely amazing.
Mhm,
You would speak Karen, they would
mhm,
speak Thai, they would speak Tagalog, they would speak Ethiopian, they would speak Eritrean, and they would all understand each other.
mhm,
And nobody was speaking the same language. It
yeah.
was like in the Bible, in the book of Acts,
Mhm,
where they've got all of these languages going on, but somehow in there's that sameness of
mhm,
this is our experience,
mhm,
right?
yeah.
So that's something that I found absolutely fascinating,
Mhm,
teaching refugees and immigrants and such. Um, I taught people English who had never been to school before, ever. Now, I understand you had been to school, like grade school in the refugee camp. Your mom had never been to school before.
Mm.
Your brother, your older brother, did he go to school?
I think he went to school, yeah,
He
like
went to about grade
pretty
3, I seem to remember.
yeah,
Does that sound
something
right?
like mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the level that I taught people who were not literate in their home language, and suddenly they have to move to a new country, learn a new culture, learn that this has a name, it has a shape, and then there's another one that's like this, and it looks very similar, or it looks nothing like it, but it sounds the same, has the same name. English is crazy. Understand this. English is crazy. Um, Experience speaks its own language sometimes. That's exactly right. Um, I did not grow up in a happy home, and I was hurt a lot as a child. And as a young adult, I had a lot of very sad, scary experiences. And the way I look at it, God gave my heart to the heart of your people, to the heart of other refugees. And your hurt and my hurt would talk together. So even if we didn't have the language, our hearts would talk. And that's kind of how I looked at the time. And I still kind of see it that way in a large capacity. Um, So what did you do here for schooling?
I managed to complete my grade 12 here, and also after grade 12, I took disability support worker for 2 years. So yeah, I did my college
Okay.
at SAS. At that time, I think it was called SAS Polytechnic. Yeah, yeah.
At the time,
I
it would
asked.
have been,
I asked. I think they
SciAst.
called it
Yeah.
SIAS. Yeah,
Now
yeah.
it has a different
No,
name, but it's
yeah,
the same
yeah,
place.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So a disability support worker. So what
Hmm.
education is that? What is that supposed to let you do?
It's just working with people who has basically it's like with support worker and also working with people who has a mental illness and also physical disabilities. Yeah, and yeah, that's and then being a support worker. Yeah, yeah, disability
Okay.
support worker.
So why was that an important course for you? Why did you decide to do that?
I think it's just because of I just start to share my personal story a little bit here. Just because my brother also who were in the refugee camps, and he has a mental illness that we didn't know what was the mental illness. I didn't know how to support him, and then in a refugee camp, people basically were saying he there was a devil inside him. There's like a bad spirit, and they would try to no like will mostly it was like people will he will be keep away from the family members, and then he will like our family most of the time will be avoided by the other people because of they think that we my brother it's a danger to the society, which he was that he was not was himself, he has a lot of anger issue, and things like that. So yeah, so I took a disability support worker so that I wanted to come to understand better is a mental health is a thing, because we in the refugee camp nobody know what was a mental health, there was no such
Yeah.
a thing, right? So when I took a disability support worker, it was like really for my brother and to understand how do I support him better, and then I learned a lot because of the course that I took over the 2 year course with the disability support worker. Yeah, as a disability support.
Okay. Is it okay if I tell people what the name of his mental illness is?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, he has schizophrenia.
Hmm.
And since 2011, so since 2011, I have been working with the Schizophrenia Society, talking about my journey with mental illness. I have bipolar type 2. So I talk about my mental illness, and I have met so many people who have schizophrenia, and they are some of the most wonderful people on
Hmm.
earth. Um, Anybody with a mental illness who's in treatment
Hmm.
can be have a good life,
Hmm.
right? They may not have the same life as somebody else, but I mean, who wants that? That's boring.
Hmm.
Um, and before we were on live here, you did tell me that your sister was recently diagnosed with
Hmm.
schizophrenia as well.
Hmm. Oh,
How
it was
old was your sister?
sorry, it was not recently. It was 5 years ago,
Oh,
right after my brother. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was different. In with in her in her situation, it was a little bit different, but she's doing okay now. She's on medications. Both are on medications, and
Excellent.
it seemed to it the meds also like manage their behavior, their moods. So it's
Yep.
yeah, they're doing a lot better compared like for the past
Wonderful.
years. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to have you come on a different day so we can talk about mental illness and psychology and how the care would be different in the different cultures. Like that is fascinating to
Mhm.
me. I find that so interesting. Um, so you finished grade 12, you took disability support worker at SciAst.
Mhm.
What is your current job? You don't have to name the place if you don't want. You can, but you don't have
Yeah,
to.
because
What's your current job?
I worked in a multiple places, you know, I work and in work well, my previous jobs was I work in as a banker for a long time for 8 years, and then and I also I recently got a job like 3 months ago. I got a job as a resource coordinator, so resource room coordinator. So yeah, so that's what I do. I
Oh,
work with the like mostly for people with core neighborhood area, and then it's a lot with homelessness, and then affordable housings, and employment support and things like that. So yeah. Mhm,
okay. So you don't have to tell me the organization now.
mhm,
Later, you can tell me if you
yeah,
want.
mhm,
Um, is it with the same organization where I worked before, or is it with the school district? I know I said I wasn't going to ask, but I'm asking.
yeah.
Is it with the
It,
school district or is it with a settlement organization?
it's a settlements. It's a community organizations, yeah, nonprofit
Oh,
organizations.
okay.
Mhm,
Okay. All
mhm.
right. Um, why did you choose to get out of banking and into this other job?
I feel like banking it's a really good. I've learned a lot in banking,
Mhm.
but I also want to support people in a different way. You know, instead of their
Mhm.
financial needs, and then maybe look at it the other way. And I feel like I like to help people, and I feel like it's such a meaningful role for me as a resource coordinator. And thinking about my life as a refugee when I first came here is how to navigate the system. You know, where to find
Yes.
resources. You know, it's mostly for me and for my Karen community, because even though our Karen people here, it's been here for 12 or 50 years, because we're very grouped together, and it's so hard to build trust outside of the Karen community. Even though the resources are there, they're not necessarily go there unless if they see one
Right.
Karen there, right? So in order to
Yes.
I just wanted to be the bridge, and then to be those main person, resource person, that hey, it is okay, to if you need anything, you can also help me. Like personally, I feel like I'm going back to university, or I go back to college by working with organization, because
I
I
know.
learn I learn something new every single day that I can apply to for like
Yes.
I can help my family, my community, and also the community that I live in the neighborhood area, and just not the current, but like generally for everybody who are like who needed the support and not know where to connect. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Oh, that's one I am so glad you're in that type of job because it is so meaningful to be able to do that type of work and
Mhm.
help people who've been through similar situations as
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
Even if they are not immigrants or refugees, people who are like natural born Canadians
Mhm.
who are living with homelessness, who are
Mhm.
learning disabled, who have mental illnesses, and all of this stuff. It talks about how our experiences are so different, but they're also so much the same.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, the last time I talked with you, you were still working at the bank. So
Yes.
tell me, why did you choose banking for so long?
I think for me when I chose banking is I feel like banking it like it's give me it's really for learning for me, because I as again as a refugee or came to Canada, I have no zero knowledge about banking a bank account, not even having a bank
Mhm,
account, or but
mhm.
once I start to work in a banking industry, I learned so much that bank offer, that a loan and mortgages, and even like basic credit, how do you build your credit in Canada, and and also educated other Canadians
Yes.
also to build how do you build a credit? How do you apply for loans, and how do you manage your funds wisely? And all kind of available, like how's banking connect with the government, like education funds, like retirement saving plans and things like that. I was a teller, and then I moved to banking advisor role. So basically like a loan
Mm.
officer that you give out loan and you interview screening question to see if they qualify to get their loan. So that's something I've been like I think that's one I learned about, like a learning part. I learning part, learning as to be how to like basically also for my family and for my community as well. Like a basic information or banking system here. Yeah, I don't
Mhm.
know if it's and if I don't know if it's answered the question, but
Oh, it totally answers the question. You're in a helping position. It's at a bank,
Mhm,
but you're still a helper. Like that's
mhm.
that's what my shirt is I
Yeah,
am my other's keeper. Let me see if I can
yeah, mhm,
doop-a-doop-a-doo. I am my
mhm,
other's keeper,
mhm,
right? And so are you. You are keeping other people in the community. You are
mhm,
giving them skills, you're giving them opportunities, things
mhm,
that you didn't have as a child, but
mhm,
you're able to do that now for people and give
mhm,
them hope. That's another big
mhm.
thing, giving them hope. Um, so when you're not at work, what do you do?
On the side, I also like I have like a Korean community here that I like to call it. I'm one of the leader. Let's say I'm one of the leader of the Korean community that I help, like helping in the Korean community, doing some programs. So in the Korean community, as a leaders, I also organize the Korean culture camp. So I do the Korean
Mm,
culture again every summer. So we teach Korean language classes, and then we also organize special events like Korean New Year, and we have a community coffee, a community space where all the Korean elder could come and have coffee or tea or things like that. And when it's open topic for
nice.
everyone. So um, and then also recruiting volunteers, like for our youth and our community members, because
Ah,
we know how important it is when we first came here, how hard it is as a small community. We only have three families, and the challenges that we were facing. We don't also want the same people who maybe later now come in Canada as a Korean member to not face the same thing. To try to build a stronger community here, and also to keep ourselves healthy and as a Korean community, and to support one another. And ultimately,
mm,
my main goal is to keep our culture, language, to keep our culture not to be destroyed, even though we're in Canada, and for the next generation to know who they are as a Korean, and proud, and with a beautiful culture and a beautiful people. Yeah,
well, it's beautiful culture, beautiful people, beautiful clothing, like the
yeah,
shirt you're wearing now.
yeah.
Can you stand up a little bit so we
Oh
can
yeah,
see
for
it?
sure. Yeah, you see, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So that is a hand woven shirt.
Yes. Mhm.
Did you get it from Burma or did somebody here in Canada make it?
Well, this is one. It's I think what I ordered from Thailand or Burma. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We do have an elder who made the Korean clothes here, but it took like forever to make
It
one.
did.
It takes a
No.
forever. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
I some of my students were people who were making scarves and bags
Oh yeah.
and yeah, the Karen style. Yeah. And it does take a long time because they were using the kitchen table leg
Yes,
as their
and
loom.
yeah, and
Yeah.
chair or whatever they
And
can tie onto.
that's right, exactly. We've got strings all over the kitchen. Yes, that was fun.
Mhm,
Um, so the Karen community, like you said, you want to be able to support the Karen community, engage the Karen community, and keep it vibrant
mhm,
while maintaining Canadianness. Does that
mhm,
make any sense? Like you want them to be a good Canadian, but you also want them to be good Karen,
mhm,
right?
mhm, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also like really, really to because we have a lot of like again, like this is for next generation. I hope that for the next generation to realize, because their parents, we have overcome a lot to be in this country.
Mhm.
And I think it's also important to pass this on our next generations, that it's also value that, and also to also know who we really are, and as
Mhm.
a friend, and yeah, and to build a stronger community here. And it is like, and also it is okay, because a lot of my mother and elders here are, they still have the trauma that they have gone through like years
Absolutely.
ago. And then some of them feel like they will be never be able to call Canada as a home, right? But they have no other choice also to go back to Burma. But how do
Right.
we create in a community, or Karen community here in Canada, with the opportunity that they give it to us in Canada? We'll be able to do it unless back in Burma, right? So we have that opportunity to create our community without fear. So that's something that I also very value. Like, I also keep it very important for myself, and I like to listen to story for the elders to tell the story. And some elder are, they feel like they will never be able to blend in the current culture, but which is okay, but to also
Mhm.
know that we have the community, a safe space that they can share, and it may
Yes.
be eventually they can, they feel more comfortable, and open up to, and be more safe, and yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah, absolutely. It's very difficult when you move to Canada as
mhm,
an adult
mhm,
with children,
mhm,
because then the child will start to learn language that much faster,
mhm,
right,
mhm.
than mom and dad or grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
And they're they become like mom and dad
Mhm,
because they have to help translate
mhm.
everything. They have to
Yeah.
do so many things for their
Mhm,
parents.
mhm.
Um, how did that work for you in your family?
I think it's to be it is a challenge, and to live in a two different culture, and
Mhm,
then to live in a current culture. But I think, for my family, I think it's for my mom and my sister and my brother. They don't speak English, but they can only communicate very little. But
mhm.
sometimes I don't really know, like, they, because I speak English, so I speak English and I can communicate. So I'm doing okay.
Yes.
So they seem to have all my responsibilities on me, and then okay, Gwen can do it, Gwen can do it, but I don't really know what it really feel like to be in their shoe. And because I can help them as much as I can, but I don't know, like, I can speak on behalf of them, but because my mom think I know English, so I know everything, right? So
Yeah,
that's one word, and my brother, and same as goes as a community, right? So, um, and I think, for me, what keeps me going, and I think with friends and families and friends that I have a similar story, also have the friend that also come from a different country and also have experienced the same thing. So we try to share those story, the similar story, and share the
right.
differences. What are the challenging, and and also I think to myself, I'm not the only ones here too. I have a friends of them who has a similar story. By
That's right.
providing that support needs for my family, it's also, it's very important to me. Yeah. Mhm,
Oh, that's
mhm,
wonderful.
mhm,
Oh, you're very wise in saying that you can't put yourself in their shoes and speak for them because you don't have the same
mhm.
experience,
Yeah.
right? You know what you've observed,
Mhm,
but that's not necessarily how they feel, you know?
mhm,
And
mhm.
that very wise young man you are. Very good. Um, so now something that the first place I saw you was at church.
Mhm.
Is faith something that still is in your life?
Yes, yes, and then that
Yes?
it is what kept us going, since day one until now. And my family, like, we have a grand church here, so that we go to church.
Oh,
My mother will go to church every week, and I will attend church here and there. I got busy sometimes with the community work, but yes, I think as a Christian, I believe if it wasn't, everything happened for a reason, and God has a plan for our family,
yes.
and this is the life that we started. So it's a new life in Canada, and we just have to trust God that, um, it's in His hands, because we are the child of God, and I believe whatever happened, we either accept it and move forward, and it's everything in His hand. That's how I believe. Yeah, yeah. Mhm,
Oh, I believe the same thing.
mhm,
And this person
mhm,
who is commenting. She also believes the same thing. She's from the
Mhm,
United States,
mhm.
and she loves your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
She crochets, so she makes beautiful blankets and baskets and all of these things too. So she sees good workmanship when she sees this. So that's an important thing. Um, but yes, I think faith
Mhm,
as a foundation.
mhm,
Um, Again, my hurt talked to their hurt. My faith also talked to their faith, even though there weren't words.
mhm,
You know, um, when I started at the settlement agency that your family used,
mhm,
um, I was the first person. There was a group of I think 8 or 10. There was I think 2 or 3 families who arrived, including your grandpa,
mhm.
Yahweh. Is he your grandpa?
Oh, no, of our relatives, yeah. No, not
Okay.
relatives, no, he's not my grandpa, we know each other, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So it was him and his family all the way down from there.
Mhm,
Um, and I was there the night that they arrived, and the government gave each person, I think, only $5 or $10 for a meal. And it was very difficult because when you come to a new country, you don't know the food, you
mhm,
don't know the culture, and $5 for a meal, that's McDonald's. I mean,
mhm,
and if you've never eaten that, yuck,
mhm,
why would you
mhm,
want to? So there is a Burmese restaurant in Saskatoon that I
mhm,
phoned,
mhm,
and I reached out and I said, "Okay, I have a group of people. This is where they're from. This is their story.
mhm,
Do you have somebody who can deliver food?" And
mhm,
he's like, "Well, how much money do they have?" And I said, "Well, all together, there's this much money." He's like, "Yep, I can make them something." And he brought so much food that
mhm,
first day. Oh my goodness, he treated your family so well.
mhm,
So knowing that an immigrant
mm,
saw this refugee group family
mhm,
as his own family,
yeah,
that's a beautiful thing. I think that's just a beautiful thing. Um, so as Canadians, what do you think, as Canadians or North Americans
mhm,
or anybody from a wealthy type nation,
mhm.
what do you think we could learn from the Karen people?
Um, I think, I don't I think, I'm not sure because I think, um again, I think for us it's a difference, right? Like we came from nothing and then we were just grateful to be alive. And then
Hmm.
um um for what I believe, I think it's go I think I can also speak of some other current families as well. So I believe that personally if we do good things, that good things will come to us, right? And that's one thing I
Hmm.
believe. And I think learning for current people it's maybe I would speak in current Saskatoon here, we do have a Korean New Year sometime, an event, things like that. Maybe a good way to come and get to know the Korean people and to
Yes.
really know, like yourself, like, get to know the Korean family. What did you learn from them, like by volunteering the family or helping them, supporting them to how you learned from the family. And I will say like Korean family are they laugh a lot. They say
Oh,
yes to
yes.
pretty much everything, even if they don't understand.
That's
And
right.
then even though they talk about their life experience with like a thousand of smile when they share their sad story, not necessarily
Yeah.
that they are happy about it, but it just
Oh,
the way of sharing and the way of keep them strong, like by sharing and tell the story with their smile face. I don't know, I'm not sure what.
it's 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 almost like the Karen people.
Mhm,
I remember when I went to Thailand, I was
mhm,
told it's the land of a thousand smiles. Like
mhm,
you were just saying, it is a way of, like, there's a phrase we use called grin and bear it. So smile and just do it. Just get it done. Um, so if you grin and bear it, that is just smiling and looking toward the good that can happen for somebody. Um, Looking for the positive in things.
mhm,
And having had nothing as a child,
mhm,
moving to a country that has so much and people aren't grateful for it. How does that feel to you?
Um, I feel like I, I was like maybe I was I think for us, it's like I don't really, to be honest, I don't really know. I
Okay,
don't know again, like I don't know because it's hard for a person who have never experienced like who was never like experienced the war or like went through so many like things,
right.
It's hard for people to and if you don't experience you don't know, right? You don't know, and how would you be grateful when you don't when you have never had an experience like that? So it's kind of hard to speak to
Again,
speak
you're a
like this
very
people,
wise
yeah.
young man. A lot of people would hold it against somebody who
Hmm.
did not, who were not thankful for everything that they had.
Hmm.
But when they've never been through anything difficult,
Yeah.
what's to be difficult, right?
Hmm.
So Mary talks about her grandfather spoke Greek to his father, and
Hmm.
his father spoke English to him so that they could both learn English and keep the Greek. And I think that's maybe some of what the Karen people are doing now is they have their Greek they have their Karen festivals. They have
Hmm.
when is Karen New Year, by the way?
Oh, it's usually in January. Yeah, it's usually in
Okay.
January, and we try to, as a community now, we try to have like more events now. Like summertime, we'll call in like Korean Culture Day, like Sport Day, like traditional games. But the New Year is actually in January. Yeah, we
Is it
follow
the
the.
same January 1st
I
or is it a
think
different day?
it's a different day. It's a different day. We tend to follow the Western calendar. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, basically it's the same day. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So is there anything else that I have not asked you that you would like us to know?
Um. Um, I think I'm not sure. I don't think so. Yeah, I think we have asked pretty much all the questions.
Okay,
And I think I
okay.
did my best to try to answer all of those. I
You did
promise.
great. I even gave you a few that we didn't talk about beforehand, so you did
Yeah.
fantastic.
And, and I think,
Um,
oh yeah, for sure, yeah. And we do, and I share my creative page there as well on Facebook. And if you
yes,
want to learn more about like Quran in like I'm focused very. My focus is just the Korean community local here in Saskatoon. Try to build a
right,
stronger community. So if you yeah, again, the Facebook page that you can also go, and that's a lot of things that we do there as a volunteer. We came as a volunteer group. We were not funded by any other organization. We did it
right.
so it's just based on volunteer work that we
Oh,
put.
that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Yes, you have a lot of really good, hardworking, big-hearted people in your community. I know several of them, and oh my goodness, I need to come out and visit you guys again sometime soon.
Yeah.
Um, so Mary or Mum, is there anything that the two people watching, I think, are Mary and Mary Lynn Lucas is my mum. So, ladies, is there anything that you would like to ask? Anything that you want Boy to know or to take home to his family or anything like that? What do you think? We're going to wait for them to type if they want to say anything. Um, So, what are your plans for the future? What do you think you're going to be doing in a year or 2 years or 5 years?
I'm really want to work on the Korean community again. I wanted to build a strong, solid Korean community here in Saskatoon in the 5 year. Maybe I will leave my job, do like a full time, like hopefully like full time job in the Korean community. That's one of my hopes. Like I really wanted to hold it together, like as a solid community here.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's a
Mhm.
great idea. So Mary says, "Great job." Um,
Thank you.
so she is blessed to crochet. She has a physical illness called fibromyalgia, and she feels that she is blessed because she can still crochet and be creative
Mhm.
that way. She sews and she knits and she crochets. And the idea behind her is what are you blessed to be able to do? So, what do you think you are blessed to be able to do, Boy?
I'm I don't know, like I'm blessed being alive for now, I guess, yeah. And to being yeah, I'm blessed to be Korean that I did what brought me like as a current person. I'm so blessed that I get to be with the Korean community. I get to I like brought up the way it is. Get to learn to appreciate when I was young, and then I'm blessed to be here in Canada also. Yeah.
Awesome. This
Mhm.
is something I don't know if we asked. What is your biggest surprise coming to Canada?
I think the weather. No, it's probably
By
the
the way,
biggest. I was like, it was so cold, and we came in during April, but I remember I still wear like a winter jacket during the winter April. Yeah.
well,
So
yes,
yeah.
coming from a Thai camp, it would
Yeah.
be very cold. Yeah, the weather would be kind of, did it scare you? Did snow scare you?
At first well, it was kind of like I like the look of it, but not so much
Mhm.
of the cold. So yeah, I would say
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, there's a story of a woman at the school where I worked, and
Mhm.
she did not want to go outside when it snowed because she thought it was going to kill her and her children. She thought they would die. Um, and now it's our job as teachers to teach you, as immigrants and refugees, this is how you survive. Because if I were to move to Burma, if I were to move to Thailand, if I were to live in a refugee camp, I would have no idea what to do, right?
Mhm.
So you would have to teach me how to survive.
Mhm.
And I think that's something else that is important, that
Mhm.
people understand that their life experience makes them smart, that they're
Mhm.
not stupid or dumb because they don't speak English, right?
Mhm.
They survived in a way that I never ever could, right?
Mhm.
So that's something I want you to tell the elders who
Mhm.
don't speak English anymore, who are no longer in my class.
Mhm.
I want you to tell them that Teacher Kim says that they are all smart and wise, and they are leaders and they are important, because that's something that I think all of them need to know as well.
Mhm.
So thank you, Boy, for coming on with me tonight. I really appreciate it. It's
Thank you.
something that, oh, Mary says, good answer. um, so it was wonderful to chat with you this evening, and stay on for a little bit. I want to talk to your mom
For sure.
because she's one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you very much and have a great night for the rest of you. Bye.